Hi, and welcome to Learn with Sawgrass, the Wednesday edition. I'm Rhonda, the Education Manager here at Sawgrass, and we join you every Tuesday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern and every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern to talk to you about all things Sawgrass, between how to use your printer, how to maintain your printer. We talk about your printers and your inks. We talk about what makes Sawgrass so different. We're going to hit you up with some inspiration, and we also are going to give you some business tips as well. And today kind of includes a little bit of all of that because we are going to talk about, we're going to be in the Sawgrass software. I'm going to show you two things that you may never have seen. And then we also are going to be doing some inspiration because I've got some really cool products today. And we're going to talk about how those would play into what you're selling. So let's go ahead and get started. So a little bit of housekeeping to begin. Rhodes is in the chat, so if you do have any questions, if you have any comments, I am going to ask for some audience feedback in just a little bit to help me with one of the projects. So you'll go ahead and jump right in. I will ask him ever so often what you're saying, so or he'll just raise his hand. But we'll cover that, and we got some really fun stuff today. So yesterday we talked about hostess gifts, and these were actually the three that we made, and they're going to play directly into what we're talking about today, which is personalized gifts that really touch the heart. Now, when you are selling, there are three different ways that you can do personalization. I mean, they're pretty big buckets, but here's kind of where this falls. So one is going to be pretty much these three projects, which is, it is an initial or it is a date. So if you were selling in person, you could actually have some of these already pre-made for the most popular initials. And just for the record, if you need to know, as far as first name initials, this is globally, this is across men and women, it's J, A, and M. So as long as you're carrying those three, you're going to carry quite a few, and you don't have to have all 26 letters available at all. But that is one way to do personalization, by using letters, and then also by just using a date. So if in this case I were doing these boards with dates, these would usually be marriage dates, I'd probably go current year, maybe a year back and then a year forward on something like that. So someone shopping now could be purchasing for wedding in the spring of next year. So have that, and then someone's like, oh, that's a great idea, let me get that for Susan who got married last year. So you can physically have those, but then have the ability to print more. The next way you're going to do this is full names, last names with dates. Those kind of things are going to be more either a custom order, so you're ordering it to do later, or if you have the equipment in the store, doing it there or in the market where you are. So those are kind of two ways to do it with personalization. And then the third is what we're going to, so the first project we're going to do today kind of fits with this theme. It's going to be a full name. But then the other two projects we're going to do today are extreme customization. These are extremely personal, extremely close to the heart, very, very, very individual. And they both involve, well, one involves photographs. The other involves something similar. So those are ones where you are definitely collecting. Those are ones where, you know, you're making sure they know what resolution you need as far as images and all of that, and they're sending you that. But personalization can be all of those things. The reason personalization is so important to what we do, and customization is so important to what we do, is because there is that higher perceived value. It's not just a generic water bottle, cheese board, box. It is specific to them and only them. because it does have their name, their initial, their whatever on it. So that higher perceived value is going to play in quite a bit. One of the things to remember is that if there is an emotional connection, it's going to build stronger loyalty, because they're going to remember who made that for them, and they're going to go back time and time again to get that kind of emotional reaction. I do sublimated gifts. This year is going to be VersaFlex, but sublimation and now VersaFlex. Every year for Christmas, they're all personalized. They're all things that are unique to the person. And even people who aren't making are buying. So having that to make for them is going to be so massive. One of the other things is this is going to help you with your marketing, because if something is personalized to them, they're more likely to put it on social. I've said it before, when you're selling, make sure you're putting 2 cards in there, one for the giver and one for the recipient, so they know who made it in case they want to get something as well. But when they tag you on social, now that is marketing for you. You know, people are less price sensitive if they can't get it somewhere else. If it's the same theme, if it's the same language, if it refers to the same trend that everyone else is referring to, they can continue to look for something similar at a lower price. If it is personalized for them and them alone, now they're not as price sensitive. That's got so much of a higher value to them, and that's going to be extremely important to them to have it. It's also a way that you stand out in a sea of everyone carrying the same thing, just by adding initials, just by adding dates, just by adding names, by having the ability to use photos. You are now creating something that's very special. And this is the heart of why the Sawgrass printer is such a special printer. Because of its size, it is very easy for you to do those smaller runs. You do not have to do 400 or 500 or something. You can literally, if someone is where you are and you have the printer, you can print and press, as long as you have a small enough press that you can do that with. Everything I am doing today can be done on a 9x12 press. So everything I have is smaller, not my press, but everything is smaller and fits into that window. So you can do on demand. You can do a couple of jobs at night. It is so easy because this is such a small unit. It is easy to use. There is not that great amount of maintenance and preparation and all of those things. It's going to make your life easier and make you able to do these things. And, you know, again, as we talk about personalization, the gifts, it's such a good thing for people to purchase, to give as a gift. It's something that I've always targeted in my own life, even before I worked here. So, you know, it is personalization and customization is where it lies. So we are going to go ahead and jump in and work on that today. So the first product before Rhodes switches over is I am going to do this ornament. Now, let's remind you about VersaFlex and the VersaFlex Light. It does allow you to go on to those uncoated products. So we no longer are limited to things that have a poly coating on them. This is not an ornament that I purchased from a sublimation dealer. This is actually just something I picked up on Amazon. It is a bisque firing, so it has the initial fire, but it does not have that finished glaze on it. And you're gonna see why this works super well. Now I've had to work, I've lost quite a few figuring out the perfect setting for my press, but now that I do have that dialed in for the pressure, I think we're gonna be good. So fingers crossed on this, because I wanna show you something really, really neat. All right, let's go ahead and jump into my Sawgrass. Now, we do at Sawgrass offer both a design tool and then our Sawgrass print utility. The design tool, again, not everyone has to use it. You can design wherever you want as long as you're using the Sawgrass print utility. But I had this first project, I found some really great artwork. The other two, just the way the program works is going to be chef's kiss for those two. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. Now I am going to go ahead and measure my Christmas tree. Make sure I'm doing this correctly. It is roughly 4 inches tall, and at its widest, it's right at 3. So 3 by 4. I'm going to do 3 by 4 1/4. You're going to see why. Oh, Rhodes, if you'll just go to the main camera for a second. I did learn something. So I had said with this box that I thought I put the letter wrong the first time I did it, and the second time I did it opposite, so it was facing this. That is not correct. You either need to go sideways or you need to go down, because if you are facing the opening, the lid will slide off. So you gotta make sure and do it that way, and I did mess that up yesterday because I didn't realize that. But it is much better if the letter faces down or faces sideways, just so you know. All right, so we have our area set up. I have found this design in our Christmas that I really love for this. So I'm gonna fill this area. Now, what I have found is the easiest is make sure that this red part is the size I want, and then I'm going to go bigger on the green. So I'm going to get that the way I want it, stretch that out, zoom in just a little bit. Okay, make this a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to go ahead and add the year, because if you have an ornament with this year on it, next year you have to buy an ornament with that year on it. So we'll go ahead and make this, and we'll go ahead and hit print. All right, Rhodes, do we have any comments or questions as of yet?
Nope, not yet.
All right. Okay. I haven't done a lot of the ceramic projects for you. The ceramic, again, there's a fine line on this between enough pressure to give you a good solid press and not enough pressure to crack it. So like I said, I feel like I've dialed that in. I feel like I'm right in that sweet spot. So hopefully we'll get a great result out of that. But that's kind of the thing with the ceramics is, you know, wood has some things that you need to remember. So does fabric, but with the ceramics, the big thing is getting that pressure dialed in correctly. So we're going to go ahead and choose our correct printer. We are going to make sure that this is set up for our unglazed ceramic. And we are good. Now anytime I do mine, I do use a printer that has an option tray on it. I do love having the option tray because I do have one project today that's going to be VersaFlex ink with traditional sublimation. So I have a tray for my sublimation paper and then my tray for my VersaFlex as well. All right, I have already got my silicone pad on here. a must with this. Now, this does have a string on it. I am cutting that string off. It's a really tight knot. It just wasn't worth it to me to try to figure out how to make that knot work. So I decided to just cut the string off and then I'll put new string on, which is really good too, because that's another piece of customization that you can do, what color ribbon you're using. Now I'm going to cut this down just to make it easier to use. I am going to keep it just a little bit bigger so I do have something to grab onto. Makes it easier both on this end when I'm setting it up and then on the other end when I am peeling it too. So I'm going to hold my ornament over. I'm going to put that so that all of the red is on there. Center it up, drop it down, and then I'm just going to hold on and flip it over. So one of the things we get asked all the time is about the fact that you can't reposition because it does go on wet. As you see, it holds really well. It's not anything, I moved it from another surface and it's going to be perfectly fine. Right, my press looks good. And it cracked. I was right on that fine line and I missed it. But you'll be able to see how good this looks. And then I'll show you one that did not crack. It is kind of cool though when it cracks because it sounds like you're popping bubbles, like a mailer, the bubbles. Bubble wrap, yeah. I'm gonna let everyone decide what we're gonna do here. Now I am making a white t-shirt.
Pause for just 1 second, Rhonda.
Yeah.
The feed went out for a second for some reason. Will you show them the completed project, the completed Christmas tree?
Yeah.
Apologies, everyone. No audio either. We just lost.
Is the audio back on?
If you all can hear us, please let us know. Okay, Lori says it's back.
Awesome. All right. So here is that finished ornament. Can you see it good? And if you didn't hear me say it, the reason I love this on the ceramic is it looks hand painted. So for those of us who can't hand paint, this kind of gives you that same effect. So I really, really love the way that looks. All right. Okay, so for our next project, Rhodes, we're actually going to get some viewer interaction here. We're going to get your help in what we do. So Rhodes is going to drop that into the chat, some phrases that we could go with. I have been told by Lindsay that this is very on trend for this holiday season. And this is going to be a pet themed shirt. Now, there are many ways that you can do this. I've seen it done Eras Tour style where there's different color boxes with pictures in it. I've seen it done as like a background with the pet's head. I've seen it with just the pet's head. But I really like this that you can actually do in the My Sawgrass design tool. So if you didn't see where I went to upload file, and I'm going to go ahead and upload an image. And let me find the one I want.
Do you want me to go ahead and put those sayings in
the put the sayings in the chat, yeah. Yeah, there we are. All right. So there is my cat. There's my Savannah. He is putting some thoughts in there that you may want to use or that I could use. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here in mask, and you're going to see that there are different masks available than what we see when we're doing shapes. So I'm actually going to go with, I think on this one, this thought bubble. It's going to be the same. I'm going to click on it and it's going to open up where I can edit the mask. I'm going to go to settings and I'm going to expand that so it completely fills the area. And then I'm going to move her up. Expand one more time. There we go. There she is. All right. So there's my cat. If you didn't see me, I used a blank sheet. And now I'm going to go in and I'm going to type whatever phrase we pick. Rhodes, hopefully you're getting some feedback on which one everyone likes the best for this particular photo.
I am putting them in there now.
Oh, we're putting them in there now. I'm going to use a default one to get my font set while we're doing that. Now this is another place where your customer has some choices. I often say that the easiest way to do this is to create a little font book by using the heart symbol to create your favorites. In this case, I think this is going to go really well if I did handwritten fonts. So using that filter for handwritten is really great. I'm going to go with the Architect's Daughter. As much as I joke about not always using the A fonts, I do like that particular A font.
Real quick, I'm gonna cut back to the main camera.
Yep.
And just because I don't think it was zoomed in well, let's show that ornament one more time. I think people want to see it.
All right.
There we go. Now it's zoomed in. You can hold it up. There we go.
All right.
Sorry, everyone. Trying to show off something kind of small. It's going to be a little faded that close to it. But.
Yeah. All right. Wonderful.
Let's see. I think we've got some responses coming in.
All right.
Two people say life is stressing, meow.
Oh, yep. I like that one. Okay, I do like that one, so we'll go with that. Another really cool thing that you can do when you do something personalized like this is just go in and add the pet's name. So you could even do the pet's name and then the year. If you wanted to. I'm going to leave it at just the name, I believe. I'm going to change this font. I'm just going to do a really nice sans serif, actually, because the other is a sans serif. I'll go with a serif. I am always fond of one that looks kind of like a typewriter. So we'll do that. You, of course, can do these in different colors. You don't have to do them just in black. So I could go in and change the color on this. I'm a big fan of green, so I'm going to go with a nice green on this. And there we go. Make this a little bit smaller. And we're ready to go with our shirt. So I really like those masks. I saw a design where it was done with the postage stamp look that is in there as one of the masks. So that's another good one to use too. All right, we'll go ahead and print this. And send this over. Any further comments on the ornament now that they've kind of seen it?
No, I just needed to zoom in better. I didn't get it
Nice.
the first time.
Good. All right. We'll go ahead and send this over. I'm doing this on a white t-shirt because the photograph, you can do photographs on other colors as well, but I just really like this particular one on white. And I think it looks really good to kind of highlight. Yeah. Okay, so we'll make sure the printer's set correctly. We're going to go on down. We have everything set up, so we're going to go ahead and hit print. And I'm going to reset the depth on the press. Okay.
Someone, teardrops in the comment, that's the username, said I think the photo matches the phrase perfectly.
Yeah, I think so too.
Same thing. She looks like she just heard the most outlandish drama, but she can't share it with us.
I know, right? Like, she's like, oh my gosh. You will not believe what's happening in cat world. And cats do. I mean, cats have it the easiest. They really just lay around wherever they choose to lay around. Now, Rhodes, do you have cats or dogs? Dogs.
I've had those. I have a dog. I've had a dozen cats in my life.
Cats are the best. Dogs are really cool too, though. All right, that is way not tight enough. Which probably means I went the wrong direction. Yep, there we go. There you go, we're all set. Could have pre-pressed a little bit longer. I just did that really fast to check it. But you do want to do that kind of 10-second pre-press on fabric just to get any moisture out. All right, that's set. Here's my print. And so we're gonna do my hover and drop on this. So I'm just gonna hold it. I know that that's about 3 inches from the top and make sure it's centered. I made sure my shirt was centered to make my life easier. And I'm going to drop that down. Ready to go. All right, so 30 seconds at 375. Ours is set down a little bit lower than that to kind of compensate for the press. We know it runs a little hot. And so that's set and ready to go. Okay. Okay, and that is that fast hot peel. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And when we talk about personalized, whether it's a picture of your baby, whether it's a picture of your pet, you do not get any more personalized than that.
Thumbs up.
Anymore. Yeah. It's really cute. So we are going to do a quick finishing press. Now, let's talk about washing with VersaFlex on a shirt. So one of the big things is this finish press is going to be very important. This finish press is going to, so when you pull that off, it is pulling those fibers up. So doing a finishing press of 10 seconds does lay that back down. So it does give it that more polished look. It's also going to help with the washability. Remember with washing that you're not going to wash for at least 48 hours after you do it, and then you are going to wash inside out and line dry. Keep that looking the best for as long as possible, and check that out. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get my press moving in the right direction for this next project before we set it up. So one of my favorite things to do, I mean, I've already said that I love to do personalized gifts, but probably one of my favorite personalized gifts is a good glass cutting board. I really love glass cutting boards. I just love the way they work. I also feel that, you know, they are so versatile in what you can put on them. We actually kind of had a debate internally about what to do with this project. I had thought about maybe going one way, and then I changed my mind to go another. And so there's just so much versatility in what you can do with a glass cutting board. There's also a variety of cutting boards out there. Now this is true sublimation. We are going to do it with the VersaFlex ink, but it is sublimation. And this particular one is a small round one. There are larger round ones. They're also going to be rectangles as well. So you can go.
I'm sorry, will you hold it up to the camera? Just so people see it? Thank you. Just wanted them to see the size.
Yeah, this one's kind of on the smaller size, but I do really love it for that reason. Okay. You never want to put too much pressure on here, so I actually would rather go too high and then adjust it back down. So I can do that in smaller increments.
What temperature and time are you doing for this?
I am doing 400 degrees, and I am going to do right at 6 minutes. And that was a little too tight for my liking. I'm going to back that off just slightly. Yeah, that's good. Nice medium pressure on that. Okay. All right. So you're going to let that sit. I'm not going to burn myself. Flip it over. All right. Now, so here are some of the things you can do with a glass cutting board. I've done local scenery. So I do the same thing I do with coasters, where I will use a photograph, because I'm a photographer as a hobby. So I'll use a photograph of something that would be meaningful to the person. Another thing that I've done that I really love, and this is kind of where we went back and forth, is conversions. So having, you know, drawings of measuring spoons, of measuring cups, of mason jars, and doing that, and then having the person's name. I'm actually going to save that idea for something else in the next week or two. But the thing that I really think is the best here is what I'm about to do. So I know that's 8 inches, so I'm going to go about 8 1/4. I am going to make this a circle, which I should have done first because it's going to reset it to the default. So we'll readjust that. Okay, so I have my circle and I'm going to start designing. Now, this is kind of like the cat. And so I would say with the cat, I'm going to grab it. What I would probably suggest if you were selling this is you have this shape with a sample, and then you have the various phrases written down that they could use. So you could have the shape, you could have the phrase, you can then have a list of other phrases they can choose from. So just another couple of ways, because as we've said, this particular phrase with this particular photo is perfect. So that's how you would do that as far as taking orders. This next one is going to have to be, you have a demo and then you tell them what to send you. And of course, because of what it is going to be best if they take the photos or they do the scanning, because you don't want to touch this kind of stuff. So this was actually my first Christmas that I worked at Sawgrass. I turned these into tea towels. Now, tea towels today would be so much different because we can do the cotton ones. So it would be great. The cotton with the Versaflex would be great for this, but I did make do at that time with what we had. All right, and what I did was I took a bunch of handwritten family recipes. Now at this point, 5 years later, or 7 years later, none of them are with us. So it's kind of cool to have this. Now, I will let me start with this one. Actually, my Aunt Mary is still around, so this one is from Aunt Mary. This is her friendship cake recipe. So I'm going to put this on here for sure. She is my friend on Facebook. I get to talk to her quite often. Now, if I go to filters, you actually could, because all the papers have aged differently, if I were to use this bottom middle filter, it still has that look. I'm actually going to use the top left, and I'll use that for all of them so they kind of blend in. Maybe, maybe not. We'll just see. But there's that first recipe. This one was really funny because once I made the tea towels, I had to go to social media on this particular one because I wasn't really sure whose recipe it was. It ended up being my grandmother's cousin. Now I'm gonna kind of do this more aesthetically where they're kind of covering each other. You could do a background and have them separate so you could fully read the recipes. I'm just kind of doing it for a cool look. So that's not quite as important. I'll do that so it kind of has that same color. Yeah, there we go. I'll do that one. All right. But I had to go and find out that that was from, I called her Aunt Margaret. Now, this is a recipe card one. This would be my mom's handwriting. So we're going to do the front and back of this one. Oops, hit the wrong button. Let's do the back of that one. We'll drop that one in. And then the next two are kind of funny because my grandparents were farmers. I grew up on a farm. And so they kind of hit the limit on frugality. So this next one is actually from my grandmother. And as you will quickly see, it is actually on the flap of an envelope because it was a waste not, want not. So she actually put this on the flap of an envelope. So that's always one of my favorites. And then this next one is actually from my father, her son, who took the same thought process to heart. And this is actually on a punch card from a factory he worked in. So it is on a punch card. His famous cake recipe. All right, we actually are going to move this one a little bit. I'll move that down. I think I can move this one over so we get a little bit more of it.
Might need to make it bigger.
Yeah, we can. I'm going to move this one up. I got at least one more I'm going to throw in here. All right. And then let's go with the shrimp Creole. This is from my Aunt Velma. It's always good to pull these out when there's still people around who can recognize handwritings, because otherwise you end up in trouble. Yeah. Make this just slightly bigger. There you go. This is also good to throw some family photos into, to kind of put that on top of it. Always works really well. And really make that personalized look. So as far as personalization and customization, what are some of the things that I haven't kind of touched on today as far as products that really lend themselves, or design styles that lend themselves to personalization? Kind of throw that in the chat. But I have heard again that whole concept of the pet photos is very popular. I think doing something like that with the thought bubble, with the thought, kind of is cute. I'm a big pun person, so that works well for me. Personalization can be done in other ways as well. Personalization can also be using colors that are specific. Like I said, I really love that green, but being able to allow them to personalize by the colors they use, by the fonts they use. All of these are the things that make it stand out and make it unique to them. So really are those things that are so very important. And while being able to charge more isn't the ultimate goal, it is a very nice one to have, is being able to get that with the personalization. All right. We're going to let that download. That is a lot of data. So please remember, with something like this, I did have a tremendous amount of data on there, so it is taking a minute longer than we would expect. Here it comes. All right. It does seem to be rounding that a little bit, so I'm going to take it down just a tad bit. Make sure I'm on the right printer. Okay, so this is one where it's really handy to use the presets. Because I'm doing VersaFlex, I'm going to just do it from what I know. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to glass. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the mirror off, because this is going to press on the bottom and then be viewed from the top. And True Picks, everything is good. Make sure I go to my True Picks paper and my option tray, and I am set. But this is such an easy little thing, just to have all those little family pieces in there. So cool. And such a great thing to have.
Lori does have a comment that's a good thought here. Make sure to remember your grammar when adding last names. The apostrophe trips people up all of the time.
Yeah.
Use your apostrophes correctly.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to reprint that. And here's the reason I'm going to reprint that. I did not center that on the page. And this kind of goes into what I said yesterday about doing the ceramic. Any of these things, I always worry about the tape impacting the surface, especially since the front is the opposite side of where the print's going, so I don't want to get anything on there. So I like to center it, which makes it so that I can tape the paper to the paper, which I'll show you. All right. Hey, I'm also trying really hard, and just to explain, this is the side it is pressing onto, this is the front. I'm being very careful not to touch that surface that's going to be pressed onto. I'm going to kind of do more of a pocket method here. Rhodes, I think you had that recently, right? You were doing something and there were tape lines.
Yeah, I was working with a slate coaster.
Slate coaster,
I
yeah.
made the mistake of taping onto the front of the slate coaster rather than kind of wrapping it around the back.
Yep.
And it left tape marks because it heats for so long.
Yep, and that's kind of what we're doing here too. Because it is in there for so long, it is just better. It does take a little bit longer to tape, but you know, I can talk while I tape. I'm good. All right. Yeah, so has anyone thrown any other of those personalized products in there?
No, we're caught up on comments right
Awesome. Yeah, it's just, you know, it's really why Sawgrass is so good, and what makes it so special is because it does lend itself to doing these kind of things. All right. I think I've got that. I'm going to add one more piece of tape and we are finished. So hopefully seeing the filters and everything that you can apply is something new. It's not something we talk about a whole lot. So I was glad we were able to cover that today. That is a unique one, but it is really good. There we go. I've got that in for 6 minutes. So we'll go ahead and finish that up. But hopefully you're seeing all of the different things you can do that are kind of those unique products that not everyone is going to be able to carry. I do, like I said, probably my favorite of all the products when it comes to the holidays is the glass cutting boards. I do think that's such a very unique vessel that you can go so many different ways with. Whether it's just what we talked about earlier, whether it's for a new couple or a new house where you're putting kind of that information about their first year together, those dates on there, that's a great wedding gift. And as we kind of look at most of these, they are going to play into those other holidays and those other gifting events, such as weddings. Those are going to be really, really great just to give newlyweds to do for housewarmings too. So these are really kind of your evergreen products that you can have in your store. You aren't going to have your Christmas up all year, but you could do a napkin like this that is evergreen, that they can use those little drink napkins, and you could do those. You could have a spring version, you could have a fall version, you could have a Christmas version as well, just to have those kind of seasonal touches. But then you also have the ones that are there all the time, and then the ones that kind of float in and float out with the holidays. So it's just a great way to kind of add that touch throughout. But any of these things make great gifts. Any of these personalized items make great gifts, whether we're talking about Christmas or whether we're talking about them as hostess gifts. And then, of course, as we move into Mother's Day, Father's Day, and wedding season, which is kind of that gifting season, graduation gifts as well. A teen would definitely appreciate the cat shirt or dog shirt so they could take them with them to college in that way. So there are just so much versatility. If you weren't with us yesterday, I talked a lot about these boxes. I really love them. Lindsay calls them wooden match boxes. The way I search them online is just box with a slide top. And these are great. They come in many different sizes. And really the versatility then also lies in how they're used. We in-house thought of everything from putting dominoes or a deck of cards in there to maybe putting truffles, a great tea caddy as well. So really a versatile product to offer because of all the different things that then they may want to use it with. And again, this is one where you could go with a seasonal or you could go with a design that's really universal. So really great to be able to do it that way.
Also, while we're waiting, another idea from Lori, new home ornaments with the longitude and latitude of popular sellers.
They are. The longitude and latitude, whether we're talking about the cheese board, whether we're talking about the ornaments, whether we're talking about serving trays. I haven't done a serving tray this year, but I may have to make sure and do one because those are probably one of my personal favorites. The most popular serving tray out there is going to be basically an MDF board that then slides in and you build the tray around it. You can easily remove one end and then have multiples. So this is a really good upsell piece for you, a personalized upsell. You can have the Morgans and then have a winter design, a fall design, a spring design, and a summer design so that they can change those out seasonally. Adds a little unique way of kind of adding that personalization to their house throughout the seasons and changing that quite easily. And you can upsell it because they can buy it with all 4 boards, or they can get it with 1 board and then offer some kind of discount if they're doing more than 1 board. That's another one of those that if you are selling in person, gets people staying in the booth longer. Typically, no one is alone. They always have someone else with them. And then now, while this person's deciding designs or fonts or any of that, the other person is shopping. So that's another way to increase sales and get that up. We are under a minute, so I did a good job of filling that 6 minutes. But really, this is one of my favorite things about what you can do with Sawgrass is that you are able to do so many of these personalized items, and it just is so different. It's one of the reasons why I often will Christmas shop at markets when I'm not making my own, is Christmas shop at markets, because you really can personalize to the person, and it's not the same generic gift that everyone is getting this Christmas. Don't know what the big thing is for this Christmas, but probably not as personalized as any of these. And there are a lot of thought is put into them. So that's really the fun piece of all of this. Okay, now this is glass. This is going to be hot, but I can show you because it flips over. So you can see that even before I peel this off. Glass, ceramic, any of the tiles do hold the heat a lot longer, so you do need to be careful. In the box with this, there are feet that go underneath it. If you lose the feet or you don't have the feet, you can always purchase those. They're just little acrylic pieces, and I'm not sure where I sat it, so I'll find those. Oh, here they are. Yeah. All right, hold on. Okay, so first of all, here are those little acrylic feet that just go on the bottom. And they're going to make it really easy for this to sit and not damage the surface. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to touch it. Okay, there we go. All right. Can you see that?
Can you hold it like this?
I can try. There you go.
Perfect. That looks good. I'll zoom in. Awesome.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? Yeah. So that's it. If you don't know what you're giving people for Christmas this year, use a little bit of your profit and invest in some glass cutting boards and some old family recipes. But such a great thing. Even if it's not your best seller, when it does sell, it's going to be amazing when someone has those recipes like my family does to put on something like that. So that's it. That's my look at personalization. Hopefully you see that there's so many different ways you can personalize. Some that are very just nice to have, and then some are those new family keepsakes. And you can do the whole gamut with the Sawgrass printer. So that's all I have for today. If you haven't checked it out, we did drop a new podcast on Monday with Julian Firth, and he's talking all about the Sawgrass print utility. So check that out on Spotify, Amazon Music, or Apple Music. And otherwise, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.